Hello, hello. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new edition of the Mike and Damani Show. Today, we're going to be talking about the political atmosphere in the country now with all these governor races, all these crazy debates that people have been seeing on the news. Uh, even the crazy stuff that's happening, like Barack Obama and Joe Biden getting bombs mailed to their house, all that kind of stuff. All right, so yeah, what's going on, Mike? How are you doing, bro?
Oh,
How's
thank
your
you.
day
You
going?
didn't actually forgot to introduce me this time. Thank you. Thank you.
No, I never forget to introduce
Yes.
you. Get out of here, man. I was just trying to set the tone.
You did last time. You forgot. Okay.
Well,
Well, hey guys, as you know, this is your boy Mike, as usual. And I'm doing good. Had a good weekend. Just moving to a new place and just trying
oh
to
yeah, shit.
enjoy the new place. I'm still barely unpacked. There's like tons of boxes still in my living room. Just trying to decide where we're gonna put our new, stuff, paintings to be.
Paintings, seats, everything,
Yeah,
all the goodies.
exactly. But yeah, just to kind of talk about that topic, about the election, which is coming up here in 2 days. There's a lot of, as you know, different, I guess, races in different cities that are heating up right now. Specifically, the one in Florida. I don't know if you
Hmm.
guys have been paying attention, but that Andrew Gillum dude and what's the other, the
DeSantis, I don't remember his first name.
yeah.
It doesn't matter.
I think it was pretty funny, the debate that they had the other day. Right after the debate ended, when they were leaving the stage, he reached out to Andrew to get a handshake, and the
Oh,
dude Andrew Gillum only gave him a pound. He was like, you only give black people only give pounds to people sometimes when they don't want to shake their
you don't want
hand.
to shake their hand. You don't want to
Yeah.
touch them that much. Yeah,
So I
I know
thought it was
exactly what you mean.
I
All
thought
right,
it
but
was
wait,
pretty
wait, wait.
funny.
Before we get into that, because this is gonna start going off the rails. We got to introduce our very special guest that we got today.
Oh, I didn't
We got
forget him. I was just, you
oh
you asked me how I was doing, bro. So I was telling you I was doing. Damn.
no, you
But
was talking
go
about Andrew
go go
Gillum pound
go
in
ahead.
hand.
Go ahead, bro. I'll let you do your thing. Go ahead.
All right, so the guests that we got today are Ashley. She's a professional observer of life. And then we got Jason. He's the professional conspiracy theory.
Look, I'm just saying, I'm here. I just want y'all to question everything. We're going to be talking about a lot of controversial things, and I'm just saying that there's always a flip side to every coin. So I got to keep you guys on track as well.
True that.
Nice.
True that. I
Nice.
agree wholeheartedly on that statement.
And by all means, if I say something that sounds a little far fetched, please bring your opinion up, and we can have a discussion.
All right, perfect. I mean, hey, that's the only way to get down to the bare bones of everything. You got to have it,
Down
discuss it.
to the
That's the only way.
weeds.
All right.
And I
So
find that observing life is best done behind two knitting needles. So while I'm progressively adding things to the world, things of value, I am observing the world in kind. So
Nice. All right, guys. So how's your guys' day going so far? How's your day going so far, Jason?
so
You
far so good. I got into my morning workout, so I'm feeling refreshed. So I'm ready to jump into something.
okay? Perfect. Yeah, you always got to start the day with a nice workout, man. How's your day going so far, Ashley?
well, I'm working on some mittens.
Oh, no, are you
So I
serious?
would say that I am seriously working on a pair of mittens. So there you go. I feel like I've been very progressive this morning.
Nice. I really didn't believe you were working on mittens. That's pretty cool. What
Yeah, I'm
color?
kind of a big deal.
So I do have a question. What do you do for a living, Ashley? If you don't mind me asking.
Oh boy, I help people get out of debt.
Okay, that's
Oh,
always
nice.
good. That's always a great thing, great kind of job to have. Um,
Yeah,
because I know I have a lot of debt that I need to get out of. So I might be coming
Man,
to
maybe
everybody
you
you guys
got debt,
can
man.
for
invite me
some help.
back and we'll talk about that too. I
Okay,
think people
sweet.
just need to like work on some basic things. I mean, there's always something that comes that kind of throws you off track when it comes to your finances,
Mm-hmm.
but I think if people are able to just kind of hunker down and be more mindful of their spending and what's really important, then we can
Mm-hmm.
avoid a lot of the hardships that we find ourselves in.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. What about you, Jason? What do you do for a living, sir?
Wait, before we even get to that, I'm already triggered. Okay, because
What's happening?
you guys admitted that you have some debt that you have to take care of, but it's just another product as to why I'm unsatisfied with what's going on today. Well, I'm already triggered.
Mm.
That's a segue, but let me just introduce myself. I'm Jason once again. I I'm pretty much like in the same field my sister's in, but it's more like a bank negotiator. So I'm like the in between in terms of how the banks handle those said debts that are
And
settled, pretty much.
hardships.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, nice. So you guys are like the grandmasters of debt control.
Yeah, well,
or
have to put food on the table.
it'll be the
I
Mr.
wouldn't say that
Miyagi's,
much, but
bro.
we are here to enlighten. We are here to help people find the promised land.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
Preach on, girl.
Helping everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You learn a lot in that field because, when you talk to people and stuff like that, you realize that the majority of people really don't understand the concept of debt and the concept of
Yeah,
credit and the concept of how to improve these things or how to get out of it properly.
Yeah,
And that's
true.
yeah,
really annoying. It's really annoying because you have to learn these things they always say that they learn about credit from word of mouth, or they learn about credit from this person and that person, but it's never the school system. And
Yeah.
that
never.
bothers me a little bit. That bothers me a little bit because right out of the bat, you graduate high school, you go into college, and you're bombarded by cards, and nobody
Yeah.
taught you how to use those cards.
Yep.
Student loans, you're already at a deficit of information, and then you find yourself at a deficit of money like right away.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, isn't
When you're
that
still
what
18.
isn't that what America is built on though? Just all about credit. You know what I'm saying? Like the
And
Oh, I think America is built on more than just credit. It's built on brown people, but we're not ready to go there yet either.
Yo,
oh,
I-
We're only
actually,
ankle deep. Not we can't go that deep
so
yet.
that's like
so
episode 7.
so
So
we're gonna actually take that and segue into the question that I have for you
Mm.
guys. Okay, so it's funny that you say that America is built on brown people. We had a conversation on past shows talking about Kanye West and some of the comments that he has made. Recently and also in the past. Specifically, I want to ask you, how do you guys feel about what he talked about just the other day, saying how he feel like he's being used or he has been used based off of all the stuff that's happened prior to now.
Yeah, on a
I,
political scene.
I'm gonna answer that last. You guys can go ahead and take that.
All right, so
So
yeah, Ashley, what do you think about that?
I have a hard time even really taking all of this seriously, to be honest, because I am of the mind that Kanye West is going through a mental health trial, you know? So, like, everything that he does is seen through the haze of a greater, maybe, imbalance with his hormones or something. I
Yeah,
don't know what's going on there, but there's like the Kanye West of now. It's not the Kanye West college dropout. And I guess no one really expected him to be, but I mean, the Kanye West of Bush, doesn't care about black people, to the Kanye West of, the MAGA hat makes me feel like a Superman. It's like, oh my God. I'm just
yeah,
like,
man. To the
I
point
just
to where he
feel
was like
like
calling this guy his father figure. Oh gosh.
He's out of
it's
his mind.
hard.
All right, he's out of his mind.
Jason chimes in like, yo,
I'm trying not to be a part of this. I love Kanye. I grew up
I
on
go
Kanye.
too.
And to see the way, look, I gave him so many chances. Even when he was bugging out in the beginning, like in the earlier years, I still was like, look, he's still Kanye. Give him a chance. He's changing things up. And now he's at this point. And let me
Yeah,
get
it's kind of
serious for a
ridiculous.
second. The first thing I have to say is he's obviously not right in the head right now. We got to stop making fun of him. We got to stop critiquing him. We got to stop
taking him
ver-
seriously.
taking him seriously. Exactly. We need to start focus on the guy's not right. He's not right in the head. Anybody?
Like, oh my god.
Yeah, but the question is who the hell are these people that keep giving them the damn mic? Like why do they keep putting them in front of the damn camera?
America.
Like, I don't
America
understand.
does.
I don't understand that. Like, that's what's blowing my mind. Like somebody needs to grab the mic from him when he tries to speak. Like who the hell keeps giving him?
He's the perfect distraction. You gotta understand that. He's the perfect distraction. So now when people focus all this attention on him, that's exactly what they want. We were speaking about this earlier. The media is owned by pretty much 6 companies now.
Yeah.
If you compare that to the 1980s, which wasn't a long time ago, it was owned by like 60 plus outlets. Like there was a bunch of independently owned sources of media. Now it's owned by 6 people. I mean, by 6 companies. So now all these companies, all these channels are promoting Kanye West. Why? We got to start asking those questions. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, true. No, I definitely agree with that because the media does like to throw the kind of smoke screen. Oh, this is what's cool now. This is what's catching the attention now, or whatever. This is what makes a story, but it doesn't make any sense.
But where do you think it's coming from? You know what I'm saying? I learned a pretty interesting lesson this last week about the difference between both parties, Democrat and Republican, and one of the lessons that I learned was that Republican Party is the party with the money. It's a minority in terms of support in the United States. The majority of people in the country is Democratic or with the Democrat Party. So you find that Republicans, they like to throw their money around a lot. That includes doing gerrymandering and voter suppression and all this other stuff. So
and the crazy thing about that is that pretty much like based off what you were saying, Mike, the Republicans are pretty much the 1% of the country, and they have like so much money to throw around to do endless advertising, getting pretty much endless anything, bro. That's the kind of sad thing about it.
So here's the thing. It's about greed and it's about self-preservation, right? Because if you have the power to be able to make sure that your people are okay and exclude others, then unfortunately, just through time, that's just been the nature of what it is to be American.
Yeah, that's just what happens. That's just what slowly happens.
And we've allowed it to happen, right? Because we haven't been as involved. We haven't been as focused about what is happening and what the people that we have been elected are doing. Like you mentioned the word gerrymandering. I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't even know what gerrymandering is. So I think we should talk about that too. Yeah. About how, just how the restructuring and the redrawing of districts has been allowing the decisions of a great many people to be put on the shoulders of very few. Okay. Very few with a very focused, methodical way of being able to retain power and maintain it.
So have you guys been following in Georgia how that one governor that's running have been caught basically with his pants down?
Voter suppression crazy. Like 50, exactly. It was 53,000 voters.
So they try to put in this new law, or they try to pass this new law to where the exact match rule, to where if you go to register to vote, your ID or any government issued identification that you have has to match exactly the voter registration form. So say for instance, like somebody that's Hispanic, right? Some Hispanic people, they take their mom's last name as well as their dad's last name, and it's hyphenated. So say for instance, they fill out the voter registration form and they just put one last name, or they forgot a hyphen in their last name or a period somewhere. If it doesn't match exactly what's on your identification card, what happens is they put it in this pending list until it gets resolved. So apparently there's 50, you said 53,000?
53,000 people that are just pretty much have missing a hyphen. They have one letter spelt wrong because the person at the license office didn't pay attention to when they were spelling their name out. That's the kind of my brother has that problem on his license. Instead of saying Prince, it says Primps with an M. So yeah, and it's crazy because he's had it like that for, I mean, a number of years. But if we were in Georgia, he wouldn't be able to vote right now. And it's one of those things where
Yeah.
it's just like somebody that was in the DMV, not doing their job, not paying attention, just pressed one wrong key, or just didn't even read what they typed in,
Mm-hmm.
and that could
I don't
pretty
think
much
it was
mess up
just
somebody.
that. I think it was also like with the address. Like sometimes people would maybe say
Move to a
street,
new
they
place.
spell it out and they put ST, or like sometimes little things that were done.
Yeah.
Maybe a number was off with their address, like
Mm-hmm.
just little mistakes.
Little things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mistakes that clearly weren't like I'm a totally different person, just
Mm-hmm.
clearly, I just made a mistake on the way that I wrote my address.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, but in any event, those things shouldn't be reasons why a person is not allowed to
To
vote.
vote.
And I think
Exactly.
that goal draws back to power, right? Because
Of
the
course.
person who is in charge of this is also running. So it's just like
Yeah, that's crazy. That's
clearly
like that's like telling
and
a nuclear
70,
power plant to like research their own safety measures or something, and they're gonna sweep
yeah.
everything under the rug.
Yeah,
And I
there's a
believe
conflict of interest
70%,
in other words in this situation. Yeah, I agree.
70% of the people who have this issue are of color, right?
Oh, it
So
was I
Hmm.
I
heard
think it's
80.
also really paying homage to, or homage to
Mosh.
voter suppression from way back in the day when they said, oh, you have to know how to read and write if you want to vote. But of course, right after, the emancipation and people being able to vote, black people being able to vote, it was illegal for them to be educated. So they don't know how to read and write.
Hmm.
Or like even in North Dakota, they're saying that okay, you can vote in the state of North Dakota. I think it's North Dakota. Um, you can vote in the state, but you have to have an address. But look at this: Native Americans don't typically have addresses.
Yeah, yeah, especially
They
on
don't have a
their
street
their
name.
reservations don't have street names. They're just like an area.
So you got to know how to target people.
Well,
Yeah.
I
And I
mean, they
think,
they definitely target people very well. The Republicans
but this is not
definitely.
new.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's not. It's not. You they throw their money around like I said, man, in order for them to get what it is that they want. And it works. It always works for them. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why the Republicans are so successful at what they do. They like to play the waiting game, and like I said, they like to throw their money around. Hence the reason why they got five Supreme Justice sitting on the Supreme Court right now. So I think that's gonna make that's gonna be a there's gonna be a pivotal moment to come to where that the fact that five Supreme Court justices are Republicans sitting in those seats, there's gonna something is gonna happen to where that's gonna make a huge difference, and people are gonna be mad that they
Yeah,
didn't do something about it in the first place.
yeah, man,
But what do you
they're
do? You
definitely
know?
gonna impact life because think about it. And the crazy thing about the Supreme Court justices that got appointed, like we have the president that we have right now. I mean, honestly, arguably, is the worst president in history.
Not
And this
arguably,
guy,
he is
this
the
guy
worst.
has been able to appoint two people onto the Supreme Court.
And
That's very scary, man. How does the
and
worst president in history appoint two people to the Supreme Court? And those
and he
people are
might
on the
get
Supreme
another
Court for
chance to
life.
he might get another chance to appoint another one.
Why? How?
Ginsburg. What's her name? I never remember her first name.
Google
The
time.
the little short the short lady. Her last name is
Oh, oh yeah, no, I know what you're talking about.
Ruth. That's her
The
name.
lady, she's like,
Ruth
she
Ginsburg.
she's really old. She's like 80 something. She wears
Yeah.
glasses.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Ruth Bader
Yeah.
Ginsburg. There you go. Yeah.
Ruth Bader
Here,
Ginsburg.
here's my concern with all this. We, I feel like we're focused on like the wrong thing in terms of like what the issue is. It's easier to keep us kind of like in the same mentality if we're at each other's throats. I think that all these things are happening. These laws are being passed because we don't care. You understand?
Yeah.
I'm millennials, like millennials, people my age, people younger than my age, people a little bit older than me. We really don't care about politics. You talk about politics, and what happens? A typical millennial will pick up their phone and they'll go on Instagram. So we are upset. We are saying that we're upset about what's being passed. But if you really look at what's actually happening,
Being done.
we don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do
That is
like what do
true.
we do?
That is
Maybe
true.
we do.
Nothing.
maybe we do, but if I tell if I tell the 20-year-old across the street that is now able to vote, hey, guess what? Something's happening with the Supreme Court.
You
He's
need to
not
go
going to
vote.
care what I have to
Yeah,
say. So
yeah,
I think that's what the issue is.
yeah.
Mm.
Well,
And
Well,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to ramble. I'm sorry to ramble.
no, you
But
good. Keep going.
if
yes,
if you
sir.
really think about it, if you control the youth, you control the future. So we have everything. Every outlet of life ultimately is programmed to lead the youth in a certain direction. If we're leading them away from politics, we're not really stressing it. It's not part of pop culture. People don't really talk about it. The media talks about it, but it's always in some kind of unhealthy way. So I think ultimately we need to start focusing on where the attentions of the youth are going, and it's really right now social media.
Mhm.
Let's talk about
So,
that, dealing with it in an unhealthy way, right? So, what ways do you think that the media is talking about politics that is not healthy or motivating or really progressive for people nowadays?
So I
Every
disagree. I disagree a little bit with you guys.
Okay.
I think that politics is getting a little bit more integrated into social media, the social society in general. Like a lot of celebrities are speaking up more. You see all these political conversation being had at, like, for instance, when Oprah received her award or whatever, she basically made this elaborate speech as if she was gonna eventually run for president when the next time came around. You see all these other celebrities just talking about, who's in office right now, and just addressing just the little issues. Comedians talking about it, radio show hosts talk. So I think it's there. It might not be as evident as you probably would like it to be, but I think people are talking about stuff like this a little bit more than they were,
You're
before this guy became
Yeah,
it.
president.
I definitely agree with that because I mean, if you actually think about even after, say, the Sandy or the shooting that they had in Florida at I guess was it Lakeland School or whatever, the shooting that they had in Florida when it mobilized all those students that were in the high school that got shot up, and just from them mobilizing, that kind of sparked a lot of people's interest back in politics. And from what I've noticed, I mean, probably younger people that I guess don't pay attention to like the news and what's happening in politics, or not even in politics, just what's happening just after the mass shootings
Mm-hmm.
that
We
happened.
pay attention to it, but I do agree. It may seem like, all these celebrities are now backing political standpoints, and even Kanye West and everything like that. But really, if you really look at it, it's really just a sandbag on Trump. All these
Mm-hmm.
celebrities promote whatever they have to promote, and they sandbag Trump and say, "Hey, we all hate Trump?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
let's
yeah. I
all get
agree.
on back." That's really what it is.
Mm-hmm.
If you really
Yeah.
think about it, what's really happening?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. What's changing?
Yeah. What are we
Nothing.
doing about it?
It's all this political, excitement dressed in pop culture. I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like
Mm.
it.
So
You
so
know,
So is
do
that the
do
way
you,
that you
do
feel like? I'm sorry, go ahead.
okay, so do you kind of think that it might be too early to kind of call it because people haven't voted yet, and with a lot of these, I guess, previewings of the percentage of who's winning on these governor races in a lot of states, there's a lot of Democrats winning, and even the early votes that they had in what October and September, there was a blue wave in the Midwest, a lot of Midwest states.
I will completely agree with you and say that I think it may be too early to say that. What I'm saying is, like what the truth is. That's just what I've been shown. This is what I've been
Mm.
seeing. But
No,
I'm
I
hope.
definitely agree. It's been like that in the past, like in
Yeah,
the past 6 months and before. It was definitely people don't pay attention to
Yeah,
politics,
yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah.
now I feel like it's drastically changing.
So
But
so so
yeah,
to kind of go back to what Damani was asking you, Jason, do you think that the Democrats are going to take back the House and put possibly the Senate? Do you think they're going to have that effect as the news is portraying it to be? Because in my personal opinion, before you say anything, in my personal opinion, I think that the Democrats have hyped themselves up a lot of times and have failed, and that was evident with the with Trump's election. Trump and Hillary. Everybody thought Hillary Clinton was gonna win which ideally she did win because she did get the popular vote. But how the stupid electoral college is set up, clearly that wasn't the case. So, but yeah,
Man, well, who
Here's
are
what-
these people?
Here's
So-
where conspiracy theory Jason comes out of nowhere. All right, look, very, 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 very unpopular opinion. I don't vote, man. I don't vote. The reason why I don't vote, and you know what, I don't vote and I don't complain either, because I know whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. Simply because, why are all the presidents related? Yeah,
No, I've heard that before. Like all on the female side of their family, they all got the same DNA or whatever. I've heard that before.
okay.
that's
All
kind
right.
of a coincidence.
All right. So we're gonna address the electoral college question real quick. and
Yeah,
then
let's talk
we're
about
gonna-
that. Yeah.
We're gonna get to that topic.
Because that's like oh man, that's a whole other show.
That's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother thing. I think
So-
we just hold off on that.
So here's the thing. So from what I understand, the electoral college was meant to give power to the smaller states, the states that have smaller populations, so that all these bigger states like New York, California, Texas don't basically have the majority of votes when it comes on to making decisions for the country. So the electoral college was built around that, to fact that you give these these smaller states the same voting power as the bigger states. Essentially, that's the purpose of why the electoral college was established. However,
That's just what the book says,
yes, that's what the book
not
says.
real life.
But I don't
Yeah,
think
right.
that's what's been going on. So, I mean,
Mm.
but from
What do you think
from
about that?
Is
Do you think that's something that's fair?
it sounds like a bunch of nonsense. It sounds like a bunch of nonsense, man. Come on, Nick. And like, have you ever read, I don't know, a legal document? Do you know why it's so boring? Because nobody wants to read it. Nobody
is
gets
true.
it.
That is true.
Or not, and even if you wanted to try to get it, they put so
You
much legal jargon
Still
in there.
couldn't
to
understand it.
understand it, and it's
Still
they do that
couldn't
on
understand it.
purpose. They do that on purpose to trick the common man. Man,
Exactly.
There's no other reason to do it.
Ask a politician right now. Hey, what's your definition of electoral? You're gonna get a different answer every time. See, I don't get it. Like, I wish I had a country. I wish I lived in a country that told me what you were going to give me. Like, tell me what's going on.
Mhm.
Everything is unclear.
Mm-hmm. But that's the whole point, right? If the government tells you everything that they're gonna do, you're gonna pick apart certain things, and they're never gonna be able to get anything done. So they just give you the overarching picture, the big picture. Okay, this is
Is
what's
anything
gonna
getting
happen.
done now?
Possibly not. I mean, I can almost guarantee.
Like,
I can. So here's the thing. Here's the thing that I know that's gonna fuck us over in the future, right? So we're currently paying into Social Security, right? Like if you have a job, and you look on your pay stub, you see that money is being taken out for your Social Security. But what the government doesn't tell you is that all these breaks that they give us, like for instance, these tax break that Trump came up with, and all these other incentives that he's putting into play right now, that's gonna affect us in the end run, right? Just like how you've seen all the economy is good and everything is doing good right now, and Trump is taking credit for it. That was actually Obama's doing, right? And usually you don't see the effects of a president's decision until the next president comes into office. And I think that's what's going to happen when he leaves. All these decisions that he's been making are going to affect us in the end run. You know what I mean? So going back to what I was talking about with Social Security, where do you think all this money that they're getting is coming from? They're dipping into Social Security. You know, by the time we get to 60, 70, whatever age we decide to retire, millennials, we're not going to be able to pull from Social Security. It's probably not even going to be there. And that's what the Republicans have been doing. They've been trying to take away all of these like benefits that, you know, are there for Americans, and they've been doing this for years. They've been trying to take it away for years,
Yeah,
And
I remember when I was in high school, my teachers would always warn us like, "Oh, you guys aren't gonna have Social Security," and that was like what, like almost 10 years ago. Oh my God!
Yeah, yeah.
So they've really been steadily chipping away at the Social Security and like slowly brainwashing society that don't expect to have anything when you get older. Because I mean, honestly, I feel like they're just conditioning society to be okay with the shitty situations that they put us in. They
Oh,
don't
bro,
happen
we on it.
immediately.
You
Yeah,
talking about it now? We talking about some real stuff now. Okay.
yeah, bro. I mean, they just slowly condition to just accept whatever fate throws your way, and that's what I mean. Listen, Jason. I don't agree with you about the non-voting thing, bro. I mean, you definitely
need to vote. You need to vote.
For all the listeners, for all the listeners, just please make sure you go vote. Don't vote.
Yes.
Man, I'll go vote. It's
Yeah,
all right.
you need
Okay,
to vote.
okay. So you know, one of the main reasons that I vote is because that, okay, for one, I don't want to be a complainer, and then for two, I know that if I voted, then I know that I did everything that I can possibly do, because it might not necessarily help me out, but there are a lot of other people out there that are suffering. People don't have health care. People that don't have access to, I don't know, clean water. Flint, Michigan. Come on now. The kind of people that are running those cities, they don't deserve to be there anymore. Yeah. So I just want to do, in my area that I'm at, I want to make sure I do everything I could possibly do, just so that way, hey man, it might not help me, but it's going to help somebody else.
Yeah.
You know what? Like, in a perfect world, I feel like, just as Americans, we should just get together and just say, there's a lot of stuff wrong with this country. Why are we paying all this money? Why are you taking away everything that's helping us and allowing us to pay more than what we're supposed to, when there's so many things wrong with the country?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Where the fuck's all that money going?
You know where it's going. It's going to trivial. Matter of fact, let's think about that for a second. The three most gross, the things that the country pays the most money on is Hollywood, war, and music. That's where it's going to. Mm-hmm. So if we're complaining about politics, but guess what? We're all dancing. We're all dancing.
Oh shit.
So here's the thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I like that. No, go, Mike.
Here's the thing, right? In terms of going back to what you're saying with, getting the whole country together and just being like, hey, what's going on? Let's do something about that. That would be ideal to do if everybody was on board. But then when you have people that is, all the way right, and they don't see anything else apart from whatever it is that they don't like, whatever it is that they've grown up and they're used to, that's what they would like to stick to. You can't change them. You can't change a person's mind like that. Like all those racists that's out there, when you're telling them like, hey, this is what's going on, like the president or whoever your office official is directly going into your pocket and taking money. Oh well, I don't care as long as the person that leading is not a woman or black. I'm like, what? Does that make any sense?
You see, and that's my whole philosophy. That's my whole issue with everything. The reason why my perfect world can't happen is because we will never allow it. And I don't say we as in the people, I'm saying the government. And when I say the government, I'm not talking about Trump. I'm talking about the people bigger than Trump, the people that we don't even know. Mm-hmm. Racism, Democrat, Republican, social classes, all this nonsense, sports. This is all things that separate us. We can't agree on anything. Americans do not agree on anything anymore. Political correctness, nobody is on board with anybody. And you know who that benefits? No one. The government.
Oh,
no, it benefits the government.
It's important. If you have people, if you have people who are divided on a myriad of things, then there is no cohesion. I was talking to a friend of mine about how colonies in this country began to thrive and survive. Mm-hmm. The initial ones failed miserably, and I think the reason was that was because they were just people who were coming here and they were just trying to stick out on their own. But you can't have things thrive or survive if people aren't looking out for one another. Mm-hmm. If people don't have one-mindedness and they have a head about things.
They're getting rid of that.
One head about things.
Mm-hmm.
They're
So when
getting
you
rid of
have
them.
and same thing with slavery, same thing. You have a whole bunch of people that you can control how because you create all kinds of like little bullshit things that be to trivialize
Hmm.
and get really obsessed about.
Yeah, and as
And you
long
And
as
can't
they're
move forward if everyone's got a different mind about things. When ultimately the whole thing is like, well, we all need to be healthy. We
Mm-hmm.
all need to be able to have access to clean water and have
hmm
access to a good education and have access to being able to get the resources that we need to thrive. We
Mm-hmm.
all need this. So why aren't we
like
all combining about this?
So, did
if
you
we're
vote? Did you vote? Because I know Jason didn't vote. Did you vote, Ashley?
Oh my God, yes, I voted. And I will
Okay.
be voting on November 6th.
So, I do have a question. I always wanted to get a woman's perspective. Based on uh past comments that Donald Trump has made about women, how do you feel about him in terms of that? And all his people that is around him supporting him even after his statements that he's made, specifically the one he made to Megyn Kelly about blood coming out or whatever, and all the
oh
other
damn.
messed up
mm,
stuff that he said.
mm, 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 mm. Ashley, you better talk before I do.
I think that sort of and it's you gotta call it what it is, this misogyny, which
Mhm.
is really upsetting, right? Because you're hating something that's intrinsic to the survival of even your people.
Mhm.
And there's just a lack of respect. Um, but that's been allowed to continue because I
Yes.
think that women don't speak up enough and check things. Um, because we've allowed this to foster. I think women have contributed to that, but also I think that we've fostered kind of environment where that behavior is okay.
Well,
And we
well,
minimize ourselves.
I,
But I also think that, other men don't hold other men accountable as well
that is
and
true.
say that that is not
Yeah.
okay
That is
and that
very
there
true.
needs to be respect. And this is not something that you joke about and that
Mhm.
shouldn't be permissible here.
Mhm.
And it's hard for me to take Trump seriously because I know I know that what he's saying and all that is just a bunch of shit. But then on the other hand, it's something that you have to take seriously because he wields power.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
unfortunately, we live in a society by just the way that he looks, that's powerful enough.
That is.
You know,
Oh, girl,
You
you
should
I'm on
just,
the
you just,
bottom.
you just. Oh, you couldn't
you
have worded
should
it any better.
hold on. You should only take Trump seriously because he's literally the mascot of this country. That's the only reason
Yeah,
why you should take Trump seriously. And in terms of Trump saying what he says, everything that comes out his mouth pushes some kind of agenda.
agenda.
Okay?
I
In
totally agree with that.
So you
in
don't think
this
he has
case,
any
in
real
this case,
power?
huh?
You don't think he has any real power?
I the president is a puppet, but we'll talk about that later. But the president doesn't hold any real power. He's the mascot. He's the lightning rod of hate that the people, point to whenever the country goes awry. That's why the legitimate problems that reside in the country never change because the real people in power don't change. They stay in power because they have the money. But that's another thing. I'm talking about the whole Trump thing. Every time Trump opens his mouth, he pushes an agenda. Conveniently enough, everything he says now pushes the feminist movement. I'm not saying that the feminist movement is all bad, but I'm saying there are a lot of extremes to it. It's another thing. It's another one of those things that keep us separated. And the extreme situations of feminism is man hate. You start hating men for no reason. You start blaming all men for what some men do, and that's unhealthy, very
You know
unhealthy.
what? I'm going to interject there. I'm going to
Okay.
say that, interject there really quick. And I'll say that more often than not, the allegations that are brought forward have validity. I think that it's a really like a tightrope walk to kind of just assume that, there are more people that are being accused of things that really don't have any fault here. I think, however, everything should be taken with a grain of salt. Everything needs to be investigated, everything needs to be followed up on. But I don't think that women in general really want to come out and say anything because even in this environment where things are more open and people are listening more, there's still a lot of stigma that comes to that and a lot of harm that can come to a person and their livelihood to speak out
True.
against something that a man has speak out about something that a man has done to them
Mhm.
that's harmed them or hindered them in life.
Mhm.
So
Mhm. Mhm.
I think that Trump he has a way, and I was listening to Trevor Noah, and I love Trevor Noah. Like, some of the things that he says is just all spot on.
Yeah,
He
man.
had like a between the scenes where he talked about how Trump has found a way to victimize men in this situation,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and just made them feel like, no, the attack is on us.
Yeah.
Look at what's happening to us. Look at it's like, what is happening to you? You're freaking president of the United States. What the hell?
And he shouldn't be.
We had people still talking about freaking Hillary and periods and stuff like that, and saying she's too emotional to run the country. And I'm like, the woman's old. Why are we talking about periods and her being emotional? But most of all, we're not even like shining light on the fact that she was a freaking Secretary of State. What the hell? She was the first. She was the first lady. She's intelligent. She's educated. I mean, she has a mind for this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still talking about minimizing her to like our concept of the limitations that we put on women.
Yeah.
That they're not capable of holding their own and being rational in these positions. Look at Brett Kavanaugh. Did you see him in front of Congress?
Yeah,
oh
that
my
was
God,
kind
he
of
was
crazy.
the most sniveling, emotional, ridiculous way I've ever seen in that forum. Oh my God.
We don't dislike Hillary Clinton because she's a woman. We dislike her because she's fake.
Whoa. All right. Here's the thing.
Uh-oh.
All right, I'm gonna let you touch on that here in a second, Jason. But I'm just gonna say something, because just before I forget it. So I heard a gentleman, very wise person, told me something very, very interesting, and he said that, America is was a very patriarchy society, or was, a patriarchy society, patriarchy leadership, whatever the case may be.
Patriarchal.
Or patriarchal, sorry. And the fact that, we had a black president was one step over that line where, people were accepting of black people being in this country. They were accepting of them having, equal opportunity. But then once they took that step further in becoming the country's leader, it was a line that was crossed. And President Trump running for president and a woman coming into the line to, eventually try to become president was another step that, I guess, racists and all these like white right-wing people was just not going to stand for us. And that's why we have the president that we do now. I don't know. I just thought it was something interesting. I never looked at it from that perspective, but I could kind of see where he was coming from with that statement. What do you guys think about that?
I definitely agree with that, because going back to how you're talking about, we had the first black president, and then we obviously had the extreme right people that don't like that. I mean, they would have little puppets of lynching President Obama, burning the puppets, and just so extreme kind of dislike for a person that didn't do anything to deserve that.
Yeah.
And then he served 2 terms, and they were kind of like biting their tongue the whole time he was in office. So as soon as, honestly, for me, when I saw that it was Trump running against Hillary, and it was a woman, and we just had a black president, and these guys, I immediately knew that she wasn't going to win. I didn't care what the polls on TV said.
Yeah, Damani, we were talking about that. Remember, we talked about it. We talked about it for the longest time. We said that.
Yeah, that's right. We were talking about that, but it was one of those things where it's like, so many people just watch the stuff that the news says. It's just like, just take that as, oh, this is what's going to happen. She's going to win. I don't need to vote, or I don't need to pay attention to what's happening or whatever, because everybody likes
country.
Yeah, exactly. But a lot of people
like, it's too much. No more, please. It's too much.
well, when you actually think about the history of America, when you get a big step forward in being progressive in any way, shape, or form, whether it be women getting the right to vote, blacks getting the right to vote, etc. Once you have a big step in progressive direction, the very next opportunity that the opposition has to put their guy into that position to, I guess, do a more conservative planning for the country, they're going to take it. And that's what's been happening throughout the history of America. As soon as there's a big progressive step, there's a big conservative step.
The majority of the country is liberal.
Yeah, the very next time that there's a chance. But going back to what Mike was talking about, the gerrymandering that the Republicans do to their districts is what really allows that swing of the pendulum to happen so often.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty. It's just weird. Oh well.
I mean,
listening to this, it's like I think to myself, like, what do you do? You know, like, what do you do? Because here's the thing, I think that I can't really just put it on Americans like we're all just lazy and disinterested. I think that this has been decades of conditioning to get us to be more focused on trivial things. You know, with the
ding, ding, ding,
60s
ding, ding,
or the
ding.
50s, you know, we all became consumers. We needed to have like toaster ovens and Frigidaires and all that stuff.
Consumerism.
And-
Oh, there you touching on it.
You know, I think it has to do with consumers. It has to do with the way that we've been educated, right? For a while, I was an education major, and we talked about how regimented schooling became after the Industrial Revolution. Sorry, Revolution, right? Because now everything was kind of done on like an assembly line. And that's why we have classes the way that we do. You know, first grade, second grade, third grade, everyone's moving with the class. Everyone is the bells. The bells are indicating when a period ends or when a period begins. Like this is all keeping us kind of like products. You know, each class, each generation is just like a product. And how it over time it minimizes critical thinking. And how like when children are young, they're all about, you know, exploring the world and they're sponges. And then when we get to a certain age, it's like all of that has kind of been conditioned out of us or drilled out of us. And then of course, when we're all living, you know, below, most of us think that we're okay, but no, we're all below middle class. We're underemployed. You know, we're struggling to maintain our homes and our families. It's hard for us to take a moment to look at freaking Rachel Maddow or pick up the New York Times, if you can afford that, and really be plugged in to what's happening. And then people who speak English as a first language still don't know how to speak English. So when you pick up the New York Times, it's written on a college level. You know what the hell it says, but the stuff that's written on your level, oh, that's media takeout. You know.
What did Charlemagne say? If you want to hide something from black people, just put it in a book.
Put it in a book and put big long words in it.
That hurts because it's not like the capacity for that understanding or that interest isn't there. I think it's just over time. It's just we shouldn't say that. I think all of us. Yeah, because even like, you know, white people in rural areas, I was reading an article in the New York Times where they talked about the fact that data speeds are not what they need to be. Like one thing I learned about this recent election, the recent presidential election, is that because, you know, Jason and I, we live in New York City, right? So like we think like the world is New York City. And if there's one thing that we learned is like, no, it's not.
It's not. It's not. The world ain't New York City. It's not.
You know what I mean? And when I say that, it's like, you know, just even if we are not open to other people's way of life, we live so closely to so much different. You know,
we can
it
accept
kind of forces you to be open and be a little bit more, at the very least, tolerant. And be able to see the humanity in everybody that you reach. So it's like, I don't give a damn if you're Muslim or if you're Jewish, if you're white or black. To a degree, you are a human. You know, we do want the same things. And this is ridiculous.
Yeah, but
and everyone's trying to make a way.
So here's the thing to kind of counteract that argument. The thing about how society is set up. So not trying to sound racism or racist or anything, but I want you to kind of look at it in this perspective, right? So white people were the dominant race in this country for the longest time, right? All these other races, black, all these brown races, Chinese, all these other races try to gain equality through protest, and whatever means that was necessary. And we finally got to a point to where we're all cordial. However, that doesn't mean to say that white people aren't still, you know, the dominant race in this country. Now let me pose this question to you as a person. I want you to rationally think about this. The white race has been the most dominant race in this country, and now you're basically asking them to give up their white privilege. Now, if you were in that position, black privilege, I guess, or however you want to call it, and you had all these things catered to you, and all of a sudden now you have to turn that over to another race or share that with somebody else. Don't you think that would be very difficult for you to do? You know,
Yeah, of course, and honestly, especially if because they live that life, the white privilege life, and if the only thing you're accustomed to is privilege, then equality is going to feel like oppression, because when you get 100% of the pie, and you always had 100% of the pie for 15 generations, and you don't know any different, and all of a sudden somebody that you doesn't look like you, talk like you, walk like you, do anything that's like you, in fact, a lot of cases look complete opposite spectrum of what you look like, all of a sudden ask me, hey, let me at least get half of that pie, and you've never had to share before, it's like the end of the world. That's why they come out with the phrase white fragility, which is like they're very fragile, man.
No, it's about humanity. When you strip all that down, it's wanting to not recognize the humanity of what people want. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. Like, if you're used to having things, this is the issue. They're not used to being able to recognize another person's struggle and their place in society because it's never something that they've had to consider.
Yeah, but we're
asking them to consider the humanity of the requests that people have that do not look like them. Like, you're upset because you're not able to. So, for example, it's like, for example, for lack of a better example, with affirmative action, right?
Mm-hmm.
What we're saying is that for pretty much from the inception of the country, brown people have not been allowed access to the privilege of higher education.
Mm-hmm.
So we have systematically been put at a disadvantage for decades.
Yeah.
So now what we're saying is, since it's going to take us forever on our own to be able to reach where you guys are in regards to being able to get access to this, we're going to make a little space. Because they need a chance, right? Brown people need that chance. Because again, it's not that the potential and the capacity isn't there, it's that the access has been denied.
Yeah, but even with that,
it's hard so in that sense, you have to say, okay, you know what the problem is with white people? It's not like, oh, woe is me, in a sense that, oh my God, now people are encroaching on my territory. It's like, no, they're just like, no, I don't want you to have it because I feel entitled. And that right there is denying another person's humanity and their basic human rights.
And this exactly
that is being willfully ignorant and willfully terrible. and then just being comfort in ignorance. Like, I don't want to see. I want to just take it as offense. I want to take it as offense because it's easier for me to digest it that way, and it's easier for me to not grapple with my own internalized racism and prejudice.
Yeah, but how do you fix that? If one group of people doesn't want to change, there's no way to fix that. You know what I'm saying? It's not like we can go down. How do you fix that?
Access to information. That's why I was talking about data. Like, because you go into these places, they don't have access. Like, New York, we have access to a lot of things, we have access to things. Even if we don't want to see things, we see them and we got to take it in and we got to grapple with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These places are cut off from other people and they don't have a lot of mixing and they don't have a lot of access to information, and it's not taken as something that's serious. Instead of what we're doing on the media, right, is we're demonizing and we're justifying and we're victimizing people who are not victims.
I was just about to say that. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
But like, in terms of a solution, the solution is media. People forget how influential media is. It's a slow, very it's called TV programming for a reason. It has it can rewire your brain. If the human brain picks up on repetition, if you repeat something enough, it becomes implanted, it becomes a part of you. So if you think about racism, if you think about the separation of people, every time it's spoken about, every time it's addressed in media, it's always in some negative way, whether or not it's movies, TV shows, the television, it's always something negative. And somebody in Idaho has very limited interactions with Black people. So the only time they have an interaction or they understand what a Black person is through media. And what are we doing? Shooting people,
Loving hip-hop.
yo,
Yeah,
having
loving
sex with
hip-hop.
each other's girlfriends.
Okay. I agree with you to a certain
Like,
extent.
change it up.
I agree with you to a certain extent, though. So we can't say that the only reason why these people are racist is because they're isolated. Basically, they don't have. There's no
not at
mixing.
all.
I think that there's people that exist that genuinely don't care about Black people, whether or not they even live with them every day, and they still could give two shits. You know what I mean? Damani could speak to this. We live in Florida. I can, off the top of my head, point out two super racist people that lives around a ton of Black people. You know, and I'm talking about good, wholesome, regular folk Black people, not no people that are
Not hood
hoodish
rats. Not hood rats.
You know what I'm saying?
If you ask that person, if you were a white person and you were able to get into this guy's head and ask him why he's racist, he would tell you that some of it is influenced because of other things that he sees in media. Trust me.
Half the time, these people don't even know why they're racist. They just don't like you because you're different than them, and they just don't want to share. They don't want you to be a part of their society. That's it. I'm telling you.
Or they've never had a chance to interact with somebody that's of the opposite race. Either they haven't had a chance to interact with them, or their upbringing, their parents or their family that they're around.
They don't have to recognize their humanity. They don't have to recognize the humanity of the people that they want to oppress. That they want to snuff out.
Yeah.
They rather just demonize everyone. Because it's easier for them to do that. That's my theory on it.
Mm-hmm.
Still under development, and I know that it's not the only thing, but I think that's a big part of it. If we were able to see each other as human beings and then unite and have one head about things, then all of this would change, and then white people would be just as happy as everybody else.
The saying goes, you hate what you don't understand. It's very true, man.
Yeah.
There's that
100% true.
What's the name of that governor? Was he a governor or
Andrew
senator?
Gillum?
What?
Who?
Was it him who said that Black people learn slower than white people?
What? I don't know who said that.
Or was it the West Virginia?
Yeah. Damn.
I think it was a West Virginia. So anyways, I saw that and I was like, man, people really still think that way.
That's a governor? That's crazy.
It's easier for them to think that way. Like, it's easier to think that because we're brown, that there's other things about us that are just fundamentally like slow or unevolved.
Yeah, well, I mean that goes back to like historical stuff. I mean, historically, that's just what they've been kind of forcefully taught. I mean, even if you're a white person and you grow up around a bunch of white people and you don't want to be like that, you're just around it all the time. That you kind of, it's one of those, it's like a unconscious tick that you don't know that you have. Because I've met a lot of white people in Florida that are like that. They have unconscious
why would the
ticks
governor
that they don't know that they have.
Why would like a governor say something like that? Then it's obviously from okay. For instance, I'm 25 years old. I don't have any Asian friends. I don't know anything about Asian culture other than the fact that I love anime. Okay, that's the only connection I have with Asian culture. All right. If I was in a different mindset, I would say something like that. You know why I would say something like that? Because I don't know anything about Asian people other than what I see on TV. So of course I'm going to say something ignorant like that. So once again, I'm not saying that 100% of what we do or 100% of racism and things like that are influenced by the media, but a lot of it has to do with it. Because if I don't know any Asian people, of course I'm going to base everything that I'm doing or all my interactions with them based on what's going on TV.
Mm-hmm.
So
honestly,
you are right in terms of the media thing. When you speak in relation to that, because there's this interview that was done by this gentleman named I think his name was like George Black or whatever. He went overseas to talk to people about this was when the Black Panther movie just came out. He went overseas. I believe it was either Korea or it was Japan, one of those countries. And you know, Black Panther didn't really do good in those Asian countries. And basically, he asked the question, what do you think about black people and yada yada yada. And basically, majority of the conversations where they're scary, they're always in movies either killing people or they're doing drugs or yada yada yada. And
that's always seen as.
It's funny. It's funny because those same Asian country, the same Asian country, they try as much as possible to get to the Western culture, right? So you find that, especially in Korea, they have all of these surgery like parlors to where you can get your eyes done to look more like a white person's eye, more normal.
Well, get rid of the apicanthal folds.
Yeah,
allow it to open up their eyes. Yeah,
it's
and I'm just like, man, that sucks.
I was like, what? So they think that to look more Western is to look more white. That's crazy. I thought that.
But that's how media works, though, man. Because I mean, okay, if you go to pretty much any country internationally, and you ask any of them, "Oh, what does an American look like?" They're always going to say a white male with blonde hair. They're always going to say that. There's plenty of little YouTube videos where you can just go on YouTube and just type that in. You'll see.
And why is that?
Well, just obviously
that's colonialism.
Yeah, definitely
right?
colonialism.
Because they went around the whole world kind of just inflicting what their beauty standards are. And that the scar of that is all over everywhere you go. You see that all across the continent of Africa, all across the continent of Asia. All of us have a view of what is beautiful in our ethnicities through the lens of what European beauty is.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I walk past a beauty supply store and I see brown girls with straight, wavy, silky hair. And I'm like, that just looks weird. Because that is not how our hair looks. Like when it grows out of her head, that's not the way it looks. And yet, for some reason, when you go into a beauty supply store, you see these huge posters of these very brown women with very African features, right? Very like West African features with very fine, straight hair. Like that's incongruent. And the fact that we've normalized this beauty standard is ridiculous. And the fact that Asian people think that the standard of beauty should be that their epicanthal folds are not there. It's like that's a trademark of your ethnicity, and that's beautiful, and it should be celebrated. And yet, for some reason, it's snuffed out. Oh my God, yeah.
No, let's not talk about weed.
I know.
Right now.
Before we go down the rabbit hole, I want to bring us back here for a second. So like I said, the election is about to be in 2 days, on the 6th of November. Say we do end up voting all these Democrats into the House and Senate. What, from both of you guys, or you included, Damani, what would you guys like to see after the election, as far as whether it be any laws being enacted, whether it be 45 getting impeached, or what may have you? What do you guys like to see?
I'm definitely against 45 getting impeached, because trust me, you're an evil that is better than an unknown evil. So I would much rather him finish his 4 years and just get out of there. But yeah. But I
agree with that.
Yeah, because Michael Pence looks like he has no soul. This guy don't even listen to music. this guy looks like he don't listen to music. He don't got a TV. He just goes home and stares at a white wall until it's time to go outside and
rubs his hands.
Scary.
Yeah,
rubs his hand together with a monocle.
Exactly. He's so weird. You probably have two monocles in for no reason. But yeah, so I would much rather Trump finish out his term, but I would definitely want the Democrats to control the Senate and the House if possible, as much as possible, just so this way we don't have all these Republicans just kissing Trump's ass, letting him do whatever he wants to do, and then, try to backpedal when this guy puts everybody's feet to the fire. Oh, I didn't mean that. You guys misunderstood. These guys are they're worms, they're spineless. So what I really want is just the blue wave so that we can get this country back on a progressive track to start getting things done. Because with arguably the worst president in history being able to appoint 2 Supreme Court justices, those people are on the Supreme Court for life.
Yeah, that bothers me.
Yes, and remember the first guy that he put on the what was that guy's name? I can't remember what his name was, but
he had
gray hair.
No, not Gorsuch.
It was this year, last year. Trump only put 2 people. It was
last year.
That what's his name? Oh, last year.
I'm Googling furiously. Hold on.
Okay. All right, but yeah, him. So their character based off of when you guys, I don't know if you guys saw the interview that they usually do for the Supreme Court justice appointees, but that guy last year, I remember there was a story that they were talking about
Gorsuch.
Yeah, Neil Gorsuch. There was a story they were talking about him when they were interviewing him for the job, quote unquote job. And I remember there was a story that they kept talking about with him specifically on the news, where there was this truck driver, and the truck driver was like, the heat in his car or the heat inside of the cabin like died when he was driving in Midwest. I think like from Michigan to one of those states in the Midwest. But it was wintertime, freezing cold outside. This guy does not have a heater in his car. He's driving a truck, and he starts getting frostbite like while he's driving the truck. And then he starts getting hypothermia as he's driving the truck because he starts like waving in and out of consciousness. He's blacking out. Mm-hmm. He's coming back to consciousness, almost running into cars. And he's like, all right, this is obviously unsafe. I should not be doing this right now. I'm going to pull over to the side of the road and park and like take a nap and just like, I don't know, call an Uber and like leave because it's really cold outside. So this guy called his manager, and I think his manager was Gorsuch or something, or Gorsuch was the judge because he was trying to, the guy was trying to
Gorsuch was the judge on the case.
Yeah, on the case, exactly. He was the judge on the case. And then they just pretty much threw the case out because the manager told the guy to stay in the truck, right?
The dude got fired, and he tried to sue the company for wrongful termination. And
yeah, exactly.
The reason,
but the crazy thing was the option that this manager gave the truck driver was, hey, you either stay in the truck and like risk hypothermia and getting frostbite and just like freezing to death, or you get fired if you leave the truck. Because the guy was trying to leave the truck, go to a hotel, take a rest until it warms up, well, time passes, go back to the truck, and then go back on the road and drive to make his delivery. But his manager was just giving that ultimatum. So it's either you freeze to death or you get fired. And then this guy chose to get fired. And then just like how, Mike, you just said, Neil Gorsuch was a judge on that case and just like made this guy lose the case. What kind of, I don't know, man. He doesn't have the kind of morals in my standing to be a Supreme Court justice. Neither does the other guy that just got approved. This
is when I piggyback off of Jason's conspiracy theories.
Like, I'm ready.
I feel like things like this are happening because there's a greater agenda at play. There has to be. Why is it that these people who clearly have proven to the country on different levels that they are not equipped to do this, and they shouldn't be trusted with this role?
Yeah, with these high quality roles, they have no morals.
You gotta understand the people that are voting against them are quote unquote essentially us, because all the Democrats are voting against them, but all the Republicans are voting for them. No matter if they like them or not, they're usually voting for them. And the one guy that potentially had some type of heart and some type of brain on his own just died. So.
All of a sudden, right?
All of a sudden.
Yeah,
it wasn't all of a sudden. He did have cancer. I mean, we all
of a sudden.
It's so convenient. It's so convenient. Come on.
He could have held on a little bit longer.
A little bit longer.
Oh my
man, fuck that cancer, bro.
You know how long people with cancer survive for? You can. Come on, man.
Yeah, but come on now.
2 more years.
So first of all, you can't. This man was already like what 80 something. He's been in a war. He had both his shoulders broken.
Gosh.
He was tortured, and he has brain cancer, and he lived that long. I think it was time.
No.
I think it was.
But he's rich.
It made
He
sense.
should have.
That's what I'm saying. Magic Johnson's still alive. What are you telling me right now?
Exactly.
Rockefeller had 5 heart replacements. Come on, man. He dies because of cancer?
Some little
Please.
punk ass cancer, man. Come on, dog. He
You
could have
can't co-sign that. You can't
Damn,
co-sign
yo.
it. We can't
I was
co-sign.
just,
No.
I just wanted at least 2 more years out of him, just so we at least, come on, bro, come on, at least 2 years, dog. Ugh.
There was still work to
You
do.
gotta question these things. You gotta question these things.
Question. That's funny. Okay.
Interesting. So hold on, Jason. Are you saying that somebody did something to advance this guy's cancer?
Listen to me. We've been cloning sheep since since the 80s. We had iPhone technology in 2000. All right. I'm sure there's a way to speed up this guy's cancer. I'm sure there's some way. Okay, look. It's suspicious enough that all these people in the Supreme Court are tied to the same kind of college or same kind of like fraternity. Okay, that's already suspicious.
Oh yeah.
So the only thing they needed to do was get this guy out who conveniently has cancer, and if he conveniently dies when this guy's come on.
I don't know.
And what about the food that we eat? Do you think that he was being fed food that caused him to go ahead and develop cancer? Carcinogens are in everything.
Podcast too, because matter of fact, I think next time we talk, we should talk about the crap that the country feeds us.
GMOs.
All right, guys, that's a whole nother show, man. That's a whole nother show. But look, just like how Ashley was saying, this guy was rich, so I'm sure he had access to the best of the best food. So I don't know. let's try to stay within the political realm. We don't want to go to the health food realm yet. Not yet. It's like a 5-hour show right there.
He's up.
Another time.
Okay.
Man.
So are you guys since we we have addressed some issues and we see that these are potential problems that hopefully can get solved within the next decade or so.
Oh shit!
Or
Wait, yeah,
least,
Mike, hold on. You didn't say what you wanted to see happen after this election. What do you want to see happen?
You didn't even let me finish. You just cut me
Oh
off.
Damn! All right, go ahead, finish.
So basically, I'm hoping that to be honest with you, that after all of this is said and done, because I'm kind of skeptical. I really don't think that Democrats are gonna do as well as they think they're gonna do. I think they hype themselves up a lot of times and always fall short because they don't do certain things that they should be doing. But however, in the case that they do end up winning the House and winning at least a good majority of the Senate or the seats that they need to get, I think the first thing they need to do is roll back half the shit that's been put into place and start checking this guy on his decisions and make it known that this country is for the people and not for the money. You know what I mean? Like, I think that should be the first thing that should be done. And after that's done, then as long as they just keep him in check until he phases out and we get a new president, I think we should be good. Because right now, I think the country is under siege, right? Like, we are fighting amongst each other. Well, I don't even think we're fighting amongst each other. I think the stuff that's happening are actually bringing people that matter closer together, and we're starting to single out these individuals that I don't believe should be a part of this country. You know what I'm saying? We're starting to see all the people that are actually bringing the bad reputation to this country. We're seeing all the hatred, being singled out to those people that are causing it, and that's good. Bring them out to light so that we can understand and we can know who our neighbors are and who we need to try to stay far from, or who we need to show that the idea that you have about these people are wrong. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, all these people that live in middle America is protesting the border about the people that are coming from Honduras in the caravan.
The caravan.
But yet still half of these people that live in middle America probably has never been around somebody that's other than that's darker than them. They've probably never
Middle
been
America
around
is the most brainwashed people you can
yeah,
come across.
like I hear these people talk on TV getting interviewed about questions that they have no business answering because they have
At
no
all.
idea. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, dude, why are you guys, especially Fox? Fox is very fucking notorious for doing
Yeah.
stuff like that. They
Yeah.
go interview these people that have never been around anybody outside of their race, and it's like their answers are just
And speak
so
on
out-
behalf of the world.
yeah, it's like really like why are you guys asking these guys these questions? Like you should be in Texas, Arizona, California, you should be in Florida.
Yeah.
Those are the places that you need to go to and talk to these people because you find that people that live closer to the border, you have a higher population of you know the country that's next to them than anywhere else in America. And I don't know, man. I always find that very appalling. Like, you know, these news organizations they're clearly or to the right of the totem pole go talk to, you know, all these people that have no business even grabbing the mic. You know, going back to what I was talking about with Kanye West, like who the fuck keeps giving this dude the mic, man? Like somebody needs to just tell him to go sit down somewhere and stop talking. Like he has no business talking about politics. Stick to music. He's a music god when it comes on to, you know, making beats and all that stuff and making music. Yeah, stay in your lane. When you're talking about politics, if you're gonna talk about politics, talk about something that you've read up on, you've researched, you've discussed with other people before you come into the public scene and display your idiotic comments to the world and make everybody else think, is this really how black people are? You know what I'm saying? Don't do that. You know, you don't represent us. You don't represent me. You know, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but don't go on TV and speak on something you don't know, especially when you have no business talking about it.
Here's the thing. If you follow someone that's not the best role model around with a camera, and he starts, I don't know, influencing a lot of people, do you really blame him or do you blame the person that's putting him on TV?
Yeah.
Because like Kanye West, what he's doing right now isn't special. You can get another token black guy and have him do the same thing. It's not Kanye West. I'm serious. It's not Kanye West. You should really be like, why are we not questioning, hey, people that are in charge of the TV? We don't even know who these people are. People who are in charge of the TV, can we stop putting him on TV? Can we stop entertaining this? It's
yeah, no, that's not going to happen because they want to, just like we were saying earlier, they're going to just confuse and distract everybody. Everybody's confused. I mean, it's an old sales tactic. If you can't beat them, you confuse them, and while they're confused,
but that's what I'm saying though. But that's what I'm saying. I think we're directing a lot of our negativity or our energy towards the wrong thing. Same thing with Trump. Same thing with Kanye West. It's just faces to what the problem is, and we're not addressing what the issue is.
Yeah.
All right.
I also think that I think we should all just stop thinking that, you know, there's when it comes to white people, there's tons of representation. There's tons of representation, but with black people, there has to be like one token people, and all people who are, you know, and when I say Asian, I mean Indian people and people who are like Japanese and Chinese and Thai and all of that. It's just like, we're, you know, one ethnicity is not a monolith. And I think that's also the problem. That, you know, clearly, you know, this person has been deemed the token person because I guess he's salacious. But he's salacious for a reason. We haven't figured out what that reason is. I think he's got some mental health things he's got to look into. I mean, he's in freaking Uganda with his wife signing Yeezys, giving it to a Ugandan dictator. It's like,
giving Yeezys to children and not food and water.
Yeah, man.
Clearly, there's a disconnect.
They're very disconnected.
And he shouldn't be representing, you know, and one person shouldn't necessarily represent everybody when it comes to like ethnicities and, you know, the values and the cultural differences. Like,
well, they surely don't have a problem using Kim Kardashian to represent what America needs to look like.
Yeah.
Segue. If black people should be mad at anybody, we should be mad at the Kardashians. They keep taking good black men and making them insane. No,
Hey,
I'm serious.
men,
Yeah, no, it's true. It is
men
true.
in general, men in general.
Yeah,
You're
men.
right.
All
You're
the
right.
men. All the men.
All the men.
Every man they come in contact with is insane now. They're a different person.
Even
All
their
right,
old
they should be
family member.
arrested. They should be investigated. And I know you guys are laughing, but I'm serious. Somebody should really investigate that family. There's some witchcraft going on over there. Are you kidding me? This guy overdoses.
That's so funny.
Gets in contact with this woman.
Yeah, and then all of them doing coke and like almost dying in clubs, and then they got what's his name, Sir Vic. What's his name? The one that has babies with Chloe, I think her name is. I don't even follow them like
Tristan Thompson.
Yeah.
Tristan. Oh, so bad.
First of all, I think his name is Caitlyn now, right?
Like Caitlyn, yeah.
He was the poster child of a man. He was the manly man. What happens now?
He was
He's
an
a
Olympian.
woman now.
But no,
He's
the weird thing about that is that he still has his dick and stuff. That's the weird thing. He has a girlfriend and still has his dick. It's just a guy with a dick with boobs.
He's insane. They're all insane. They went crazy. There might be something about Kardashian vagina that drives people just mad. But they need to be investigated. And you guys are laughing, and I'm so serious about this. So much.
I'm crying over here. I'm crying.
Okay, so let me ask you something, Jason. So what if it comes out? What if it comes out that somehow the powers that be of America that pretty much control America are secretly just paying the Kardashians dark money to just keep us all?
I would not be against that theory at all. First of all, Travis Scott, I'm surprised he lasting as long as he's lasting, but trust me,
I'll pray for him.
he's gonna.
He seems like a cool guy.
But you know what? That's what it is. The government is paying the Kardashians to ruin good men, and then what happens? What happens? All the men that they're involved with go out into the media and start wreaking havoc. It's nah, man. I don't like it.
Well, look, I don't think it's gonna happen to Travis Scott because he's with a Jenner, so she's kind of.
Kris Jenner did that to the Olympian. What are you talking about?
Oh damn!
I wouldn't say that. Oh my god.
She's all of it.
Oh shit!
She's the head witch. What are you talking about?
Oh my
That's
god.
funny. All right.
You know what? I'm not gonna be dismissive of it, but I definitely feel like we should.
I'm telling you, 10 years from now, we found a bunch of pentagrams in the Kardashian house. What? And then you're gonna go, I thought Jason was crazy. I'm not. Oh my God.
We over there sacrificing
Jason. I believe you.
Oh gosh. Kanye West had black people's back. He was on public television and outed Bush. But Bush doesn't care about black people. Trump has been out here doing worse than Bush. And he's back.
Yeah.
That's not Kanye West. I blame Kardashians.
Oh, well, okay. Well, Kanye might be coming around to his senses because now he's like, they used me. I feel used.
No,
I
think everybody realizes that has something to do with money and him possibly not being able to secure his bag and having sponsorships and having people who were supporting him withdrawing support. I think that most people have come to the conclusion that that's what it's really about. But I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't really done my investigation on that to be able to form a solid opinion. But I don't think that it was, what you think it is there. Although I'm pretty sure Jason thinks that he was cloned. Like they do the sheep.
Yeah, he's fucking cloned.
I don't think he's cloned. All right, but
you just think that he's been like hypnotized or something?
Yeah, man, he's not Kanye. He's not Kanye. That's not Ye. That's not Ye.
All right.
Well, I honestly do feel like they're controlling him with the medication that they're giving him because you can definitely do that with people easily.
Absolutely.
All right. As much as I would love to continue this conversation, we're coming closer to the end of the show, so got to bring it in. So,
yeah.
Okay.
I did enjoy having this conversation. It was very, very entertaining. Is also educational and intriguing, I might add. But before we bring it out, we usually try to ask these two questions to our guests, and I just want to
and you got to answer them individually.
Yes,
Go ahead, Mike.
So,
Oh boy.
first question is,
I know, right?
if you can have a superpower, what would it be and why?
So who's going first on that one?
Go, Jason.
Okay. You put me on the spot. I'm thinking intangibility. Yeah, I like that. Like I can like phase through walls and stuff like that. Like I can phase through things. If I don't want to be touched, then I don't have to be touched. I can walk through walls. I can. Actually, I don't like that one. Actually, you know what? I'll change it. Super speed, and then intelligibility would be second. Yeah, I like super speed.
No, you gotta pick one. You gotta pick only one.
Yeah, you gotta pick
Alright.
one and tell us why.
Super speed, because man, to get to one place to another is I don't know, man. I don't like traveling. I don't like the idea of traveling. I don't like the fact that I have to wait for things to happen for me to get to one place to another. If I can just show up there right away, I can do that, because that means I can procrastinate as long as I can without having to worry about anything.
All right, what about you, Ashley?
You know what? I think that my superpower would be a bit more practical. I think I would want the superpower to be able to communicate well and influence people. I think that that is the most valuable thing. You know, like not just get people to do what I want them to do, but get them to be convinced of what I think is best too. Not in a controlling way, but because I was able to connect with them, you know?
Very controlling.
It is very controlling, but like I want to convince them. I'm not trying to hypnotize. I'm not trying to be a Kardashian out here trying to like, you know, get the pentagrams going in a circle and
go check a room,
just, like, ruining people's lives. There's nothing underneath my bed. Like I have no incantations or spells, but just really being able to connect with people and get them to see my perspective and be able to kind of get people together in that way. Like through doing that hard work. But if you have the ability to do that, I mean, that's another reason why politics started, right? They were able to connect with people and gather people around and make real strides. Okay. And I think that is, like, if I had the ability to do that, it's like a superpower or a talent, then that's what I would want to have. Because I can do anything when I have that.
Well, kind of. I mean, what if somebody just walks up and just like shoots you? I mean, that's the end of your superpower.
That's what I'm saying.
Really though.
So stupid.
I was trying to go somewhere with that. Really?
Oh no, that was very deep. I like it. It was very heartfelt. It makes sense. But you gonna say something somebody don't like, and they gonna pop one in you, and that's it.
If I have a talent, then I get them to at least back away from me. If they don't like it, it's cool.
Oh, okay, true.
I can convince them, that that's not the way we resolve the problem. Please, I want my life.
Or you just convince them.
If I had that talent,
convince them to shoot themselves.
I can't beg for my life.
Yeah,
this got morbid really fast.
Right?
It's a superpower. Come
on. You're supposed to be saving lives. What are you talking about over here?
Yeah, or killing
Forget about it. I wish I could fly. That's what I want. Take it back. I want to fly.
Just fly and tell them, just spread bullshit and fly. There you go. That's perfect.
I just want to fly. I don't want to spread no bullshit. I just want to fly. I can fly away from them bullets.
Okay. All right. Next question. Next and last question. So, say we had a time machine, right, and we can go back to slavery time. What two things would you bring with you and why?
Oh boy.
I'm gonna bring my hot comb and some aspirin.
What? All right, go ahead, Jason.
Hold up. What?
Wait. Hold up.
Why?
What? Why?
Because I need to keep my edges laid, and when I get whipped, I need to have a way to recover.
Wow.
So you don't even care about the slaves back there. You just care about your hair. That's it. Like, oh, okay.
What? No, because she gonna be. You just accept your fate.
Because when I tried to be beef and I wanted to tell you what my superpower would be, y'all laughed at me. So you know what? I'm not going to aspire to much anymore. If I have my edges laid and I have a little pain relief for when I get my ass whooped, then I'm gonna have to be okay with that.
Yo.
You got it.
Oh, geez, go
I
look
can't
great.
please nobody. I'm in my feelings. I'm in my feelings, and I don't care. It's how I feel.
Man, you be the most fabulous slave on the camp.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Oh God. All right, Jason, what would you bring?
So I'm going to slavery, or I'm already in slavery.
Go ahead, Mike. Mike, rephrase the question.
So you're going back into slavery time. Time machine, taking the time machine back then. What would you bring with you? You can bring anything you want with you. What would it be?
Two things.
So I'm a slave though? Or
No, you're not a slave.
You're just in a time machine going back in time. You know, like Bill and Ted in the phone booth. You just go back in time. You can bring two things with you.
Bringing two things with me.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta say, I'm gonna have to bring some speakers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you know what? I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna say that. Because that makes no sense. I don't know. This is a really weird question.
Well, why don't you just pick one thing? Just pick one thing, start from there, and then add on.
I'm gonna bring my camera. I got you. I'm gonna bring my camera because I'm gonna go back into the 1800s, right? And I'm gonna play practical pranks on the slave masters. And I'm gonna record all of it, and then we'll have a different piece of history for the future. There you go.
What the hell?
You know what? I thought
both of y'all got some interesting answers.
Yes, there ain't nobody gonna bring back no guns or bombs or nothing.
That's what I'm surprised. Like, I think you guys have.
I think a hot comb is a good investment.
I think you guys answers. Go ahead.
They just accepted their fate.
I thought Jason was gonna take pictures and document slavery in a way that we hadn't seen before, because we don't have anything really to go off.
Yeah.
That's what I thought it was. But you want to play pranks on the slave master? Like, I was with you up until that point.
It's like you killed hundreds. I'm gonna make you stub your toe.
Right, Ashton Kutcher of the 1800s.
I'm going to record, the slaves as they were. But the majority of it.
It's so bad.
That's what it is.
I'm gonna play pranks. Oh shit.
I was thinking Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle of the 1800s. I can't even deal.
Wow.
I was thinking Dave Chappelle. He goes back in time to slaves and starts
Are you
messing
going to have like an SD card, or are you? Maybe I shouldn't even go there with it.
Greatest answer. That's the greatest answer.
So I don't know.
That's crazy. You're gonna give the slave master laxative after this guy's castrated like 500 people. Like, I'm gonna make sure you shit yourself.
Yep.
Oh, that's funny. Damn.
All right.
So bad,
well, thank you guys for being on our show. We do appreciate it. It was a very entertaining conversation. We did touch on some really interesting topics. All the listeners, I really do hope you guys, tuned in, listened, and really paid attention to what it is that we're talking about. These are things that are affecting us as we speak, and you guys should take the time out to, especially in the next 2 days here, do your research before you do vote, and do actually go out there and vote.
Yes.
But
vote.
I want to thank you again, Ashley and Jason, for being on the show. Damani, go ahead and take us out, brother man.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Ashley and Jason, for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
great.
Did you guys have any last words for the listeners?
Man, question everything, man. Question. Nah, you gotta keep saying that, because look, the media is gonna tell you a bunch of nonsense. Don't take it for spoon value, or whatever the saying is. Just
face value.
There you go, face value. I don't know why I messed up there, but question everything.
There you go. All right, guys. Oh, and then also we got to put the handles If you guys want to get in contact with us on Twitter, that's going to be Mike and Damani. Our Facebook, Mike and Damani. And yeah, our email is mikeanddamani@gmail.com. You guys want to get involved in the conversation, feel free to get in contact with us there. That'd be fucking awesome. And make sure you vote. If you guys don't vote, you're going to get throat cancer. Just go vote. All right, guys. You guys have a awesome night. Sweet dreams.
Thanks for listening.
Sweet dreams.